I be like, sheesh, sunset on the beach. Make me wanna pull up on Miami with the heat.
Welcome back to the Anytime Sports Podcast Show. I'm your host, Colin. I'm here with my other host,
Andrew. Let's go. It's been a minute, guys. We're back, better than ever. Ready to get into some playoff football.
You want to go over last week's playoff matchups?
Yes, and first, obviously some notable news we missed. Damar Hamlin, he's doing way better now. He's out of the hospital. He's back in Buffalo with his family and everything. I'm glad to hear it for him. That was a very scary situation we all had to watch. Glad he's doing better now, but let me go over this past WILDCARD weekend of football.
Why don't we start with San Francisco, Seattle?
San Francisco
won 41-23, putting a routing on Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. Brock Purdy with four TDs led the 49ers to victory. What were your thoughts on this game?
Absolutely astonishing game by Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. Let's just talk about this guy for a second. Came into the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. Trey Lance gets hurt. Jimmy G gets hurt. This guy's put in the situation. He's probably put in the best situation out of any team in the league. He has Christian McCaffrey, he has Debo, he has Ayuk, and that offense around him, plus a great defense on the other side of the ball that really helps him out in that aspect. But I think he's in the best situation possible with this team, and they're going to go really far in the playoffs.
He's a game manager, and just all he needs to do is not turn over the ball, and that's what he's not doing right now. And I think that's a recipe to maybe go all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't know if it is to win, but I think it is to go all the way, and I think the 49ers showed their strength in defense and showed that offensively they can move the ball downfield, which is very good. I mean, there were some moments in this game where they fell behind, but they've rallied. They rallied in the third, and they rallied in the fourth when it really matters most. I like seeing this team. I think it's the strongest team in the NFC right now. I don't think there's many strong teams in the NFC, but I think they're the strongest out of the weakest bunch of them.
Yeah.
But Seattle, I didn't really expect them to win this one coming into it. They locked themselves into the playoffs virtually. But, DK Metcalf had himself a day, though. He had 10 receptions, 136 yards, 2 touchdown catches. And, Kenneth Walker didn't have a terrible day with 63 yards rushing with 1 touchdown. Geno just threw a pick and he threw 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he had like a decent stat line, but interceptions you can't really throw.
Yeah, but let's talk about the Seattle team real quick. Coming into the season, they were projected to be a bottom 3 team in the league. Geno Smith came out. He showed why he can compete in this league. I think he's gonna probably be a good candidate for comeback player of the year. Considering he came from virtually a backup quarterback his whole career to leading his team to the playoffs. And from trading away your franchise quarterback, Russell Wilson, to making the playoffs and Russell Wilson tanking, I think you could say Seattle won that trade happily.
Yeah, I think you could say that. And I think we should move on to the next game. I think we'll cover this one pretty much. But the Jaguars come back and win against the Los Angeles Chargers. So what are your thoughts?
One of the biggest comebacks in NFL history. Honestly, great game by the Jags. Jags have been the second half team this last stretch of the season. Most definitely not a first half team, but they've showed on the second half. Specifically the game against the Titans too. I believe they were down a bit, but the Chargers were up 27-7 at halftime. And Chargers came back and rallied to win the game. Trevor Lawrence showed why he can ball. Trevor Lawrence still undefeated on Saturdays in his career. Really, this team is all coming together. Doug Peterson's really cooking up something in Jacksonville. Excited for the future with this team.
I think Jacksonville is still learning. I don't think they're much of a contender at this point. I think they kind of lucked themselves in. I think this shows not more of the Jags' strength. I just think it shows more how the Chargers are lacking in everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough next couple of years. If you look at their salary cap situation, they're over the cap. They got to cut some guys. And they really can't afford to cut some guys. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be some missing pieces there. And the Chargers organization, I mean, there's just going to be. It just seemed like Herbert was lost out there in the second half. They couldn't get anything going. A lot of third and longs. It's just not how you not how you do it. And I think it comes to the head coach. You got to look at the head coach and you say, that was an abysmal second half.
Yeah.
You scored 27 going into half. You couldn't at least score a touchdown in the third or fourth.
Mm-hmm.
If you scored a touchdown at least the third or fourth, you win the game.
Yeah, you couldn't
I
get
mean, it's ridiculous, and I'm shocked that Brandon Staley has not been fired yet or had been fired after that game. I don't know where the trajectory of the Chargers is going, but I don't see it going up. All I see right now is it staying stagnant. I haven't seen this team change much. They got who'd they get? They got J.C. Jackson,
Mack.
the cornerback, and Khalil Mack, but it really didn't seem to help much.
Mm.
Not really, but they need help offensively. They need more weapons. It just seems like every single down, Justin Herbert's throwing to Austin Eckler
Yeah, it's pretty much this team.
or Mike Williams.
Yeah, this team is
It's one or the other.
strictly Eckler, Herbert, and Williams. He needs like another guy, like maybe like a utility player, like a Christian McCaffrey, or maybe even just
he
a
has
better,
Allen, but it's not.
maybe even a better receiver. There's plenty of receivers in the free agent market this offseason. Chargers definitely got to target one of those, but with no money, how can you do that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Let's head into the next game. Miami at Buffalo. Buffalo winning this one 34-31. What were your thoughts on the Buffalo-Miami game?
Well, great job by Miami. Everyone thought Buffalo was going into this as a blowout. Skylar Thompson, rookie quarterback, coming into this game. Jalen Waddle had Tyreek Hill had 7 receptions, 69 yards. Jalen Waddle had 3 receptions, 44 yards. Very low passing game for this banged up Miami quarterback room as well. Really, I've seen reports that Tua needs to reconsider his career, because if he's going through all these head trauma problems, he's had like 3 this year. He's sat out with concussions countlessly. I think he needs to reconsider his career. It's at one point it's greater than a game, it's bigger than a game. If Tua's really struggling with his brain or whatever, he needs to reconsider and focus on his career. But for Miami, this is a great game considering they had a third string and a rookie quarterback in.
I mean, yeah. I think this just more shows that Buffalo is just, I don't know, they did everything wrong in this game, really.
Yeah.
They went up to a good lead, that's fine. But, I mean, 17, like, almost unanswered points in the second. I mean, it's just Josh Allen throwing 2 interceptions. It didn't look good. I don't think that's a game that you really celebrate as much. You're just happy you just got out of the game. I think Miami outcoached them.
Yeah.
Especially in the second half. I think they outcoached them. I don't know. This Buffalo team just seems to squeak by and just squeak by. It doesn't seem to actually dominate like it should. It should have dominated the Dolphins, because the Dolphins don't have Tua. That defense should have had a field day, and they didn't. They scored 31 points on you. So what can you go into next week? Break down film. Hopefully they get better. But I think it shows some glaring holes for this Buffalo Bills team, and I think they need to come back to the drawing table and rethink some things. That you're not going to win those high-scoring games. I know you have Josh Allen, but those high-scoring games also consist of, there's Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow out there. So who knows? I'm just saying, it's just you need a better defense, especially against a rookie quarterback making his first start.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big test for this team next week when they go against the Bengals. Bengals have been cooking recently, so we'll have to see what happens there. Yeah, I mean, they got to pull some things together. They're a good Buffalo team.
Expect that game to be emotional from both sides.
Yeah, considering what happened last time. And this one's in Buffalo as well, so.
Okay.
We'll have to see. Moving on to the next game. Let's go to Giants and Vikings. Giants coming out on top 31-24. What do you think about this game?
I mean, I was saying all season long, the Vikings just have very, very much frauds. I didn't really see them doing much in the playoffs. First round, second round knockout. That's where I gave them. I didn't think there were anybody you should really think as a Super Bowl contender. It's just they didn't do very good. They didn't do very good. You have great players all around, and I don't know. You had a good coach. You just didn't do as well. I think it's because the quarterback. I think you need. It's time to move on from Kirk Cousins. There talks about extending him. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to move on from a guy like that because there also could be much worse than Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is very average.
Yeah.
That's it. And you could get someone worse than him. It's hard. It's hard to say, but you gotta either take that risk, or ruin the risk of losing all your really good guys. And they're losing a lot of good guys at the season's end. So I don't know. I think the Giants outcoached them. I mean, I know I keep saying this, but I think the Giants, Brian Dable, phenomenal ability. Daniel Jones played lights out, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, a lot of good things happened in this game for the Giants, and I think they deserve to move on to the next round. I don't know if they make it any further, but I think it's very impressive that they've even made it past first.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. The Vikings have not played to what they have. They have one of the best top 10, maybe if he plays good, running back in the league, Dalvin Cook. They have Justin Jefferson, top 3 wide receiver in the league. They have a good defense, Darius Smith. They have Eric Hendricks, all those guys on defense. They've won, I think all 11 of their wins were within 1 point. Everyone showed they're frauds. They get showed up in the playoffs by the Giants, and then that really proves that they're frauds. They were 13-4, and then got taken out. But yeah, this Vikings team, they had the weapons. There was something holding them back. It wasn't the coaching, probably like you were saying, the quarterback. Kirk threw a few picks that he didn't need to. I think he threw picks. Or else this Vikings team did not show up. Yeah, Kirk. Oh, he did not throw any interception. I don't know what was wrong with him this game, but whatever. Okay, but the Giants really showed out. We'll have to see next week when they actually when they play the Eagles. We'll have to see what happens there, because the Eagles also with the bailing up Jalen Hurts. We'll have to see what happens there. So move on to the next one. We got Bengals and Ravens. I didn't really see much from this game, so you have any opinions on it?
Bengals ended up winning this one 24-17. Last minute, throw it up in the air type shot for Baltimore Ravens just came up short. It was very, very close to being completed. I think he could have gotten it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's just nothing you could do. You don't have Lamar. They played very good for not having Lamar, and I think the Bengals should have pulled away from this a little bit more than they had. But of course, the Bengals fighting big. You know, they're not a slouch of a team. They won 10 games this season, so they did all they could. And I just think without Lamar, they had no chance of winning this game, and they didn't. And I think Cincinnati's going to move on to Buffalo, and I think they're both Buffalo and Cincinnati are two teams that struggled defensively, at least against a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So let's see how they play against 2 elite quarterbacks, and that's gonna be my take on this game.
Yeah. Really, the Ravens banged up Lamar all year. Lamar seems like he's banged up every single season. This contract is coming to a close this season. They don't know if they're gonna re-sign him. He's gonna be a free agent. I don't see why they wouldn't re-sign him. He's their guy that built a team around him, so might as well keep him. But really, this game, and I saw there was like a 98-yard scoop and score to secure the lead for the Bengals at the end of the game. And, yeah, that's pretty much it from the Ravens and Bengals. Let's move on to the next. We got Cowboys-Buccaneers. Opinions on this game?
Missed field goals are going to be crucial in the playoffs. I mean, they're just crucial. You just can't do them. Miss extra points, miss field goals. You just can't leave the points on the table. They left 4 points on that table. I know it didn't come down to a 4-point game. But if you play a better team, we all agree the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should not be in the playoffs. They played terrible this year. And the NFC was terrible this year. But you can't miss field goals, and I don't know how I feel about this Dallas Cowboys team going into a hot 49ers team. I don't know how I feel about it. They won this game. Dak threw 4 touchdown passes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where is that?
I don't think Zeke is what he was. Zeke had an average of like 3 rushing yards or something. It seems like they'd run him and he'd get nowhere. Tony Pollard played. Dak obviously picks and like normal. Actually, he didn't throw any interceptions, but you know Dak. He's got the most picks in the league for missing 5 games this season. Tampa Bay, like you said, they're in a terrible division. They made the playoffs with an 8-9 record, if that's saying anything. But yeah, missed field goals, big thing for this team. Brett Maher, the team said they're sticking with him, so we'll have to see where that goes into the playoffs. But they trust their guy. The leading receiver in this was Dalton Schultz, and then CeeDee Lamb was following him for receptions for 68 yards. Like you said, going into this next week against a good 49ers team, that'll really put this team to the test. I think we'll have to see.
We will have to see, and that wraps up our scores from last week's wild card playoff weekend. Let's head into some NFL news. Just reporting 3 hours ago, the Chargers have yet to open contract talks with QB Justin Herbert, who just became eligible this offseason. I think that's just a report where they're just Justin's team wants him to get an extension now. They got time to extend him during the offseason a little bit more. The Vikings are firing defensive coordinator Ed Dontel. So they fired their defensive coordinator after their loss in the playoffs. Well, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, defense, they didn't play bad this season, but considering the game and the outcome and the amount of points they let up this season, I guess it's really your best option with the players you had in that defense. So that was really the coach in that aspect.
Well, free agency has not opened yet. The Ravens are signing, I think, wide receiver, or they probably already have him. I don't know if he played for them, but Andy Isabella is re-signing or signing with the Ravens.
Yeah.
At the end of the season. And the big question mark coming into this offseason is, where will Sean Payton go? Where will he get traded? Multiple teams interested in him, including Carolina, the Texans, Denver, have all seeked his coaching, and there, of course, would have to be a trade. Saints are seeking similar compensation to what the Raiders got for John Gruden when they traded him. This is what the Raiders got from John Gruden when he was traded: 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and $8 million. That's a lot of picks and a lot of things for a coach, and hopefully it pans out.
Yeah. Another big piece of news is Buccaneers fire offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich after 4 seasons. Really,
and needed to.
Really, just bad offense.
Is abysmal.
Another thing, let's stick with the Buccaneers. What do you think is going to happen with Tom Brady after this season? Is he done?
Well,
is he calling quits?
Tom's gone. He's a free agent. He's going to go somewhere else. He's not going to stay there.
I know he's not with the Buccaneers, but you think he's going to call it quits, retire? He's going to go to a good team?
He's not going to call it quits.
Yeah.
He's not going to call it quits. He's going to go to another team.
Where do you see him ending up?
I don't know yet. He wants to go to San Francisco. I don't think he'll go to San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco's a young team. I get anyone wants Tom Brady, but you got Brock Purdy, you got Trey Lance. Give another shot with those guys. There's a bunch of quarterback needy teams in the league.
I think he stays in the NFC.
Yeah, somewhere.
I don't think he wants to go to the AFC.
Yeah,
I think he stays somewhere in the NFC. I don't know yet.
Maybe Miami.
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, no, not Miami.
We'll have to see.
I mean, I don't know. The Steelers have no plans to keep quarterback William Jackson, who they acquired from the Commanders at the trade deadline. That's something that you're like always questions you when they don't extend those people that they just traded for. Just like you just wasted a draft pick. I don't know. Yeah.
Another one, Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada to return for NFL the 2023 season. I know from looking at posts on Instagram, Steelers fans are historically mad at this guy, but Steelers obviously wanted to bring him back, so we'll have to see where that goes.
The Dolphins firing their defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. So, their defensive coordinator is fired. I think so. Their defense rightfully wasn't the best last year. So this year, so let's shake things up. They needed a better defense. Let's see. They got some talented players. Just get them back to how they were playing.
Another big a big question mark for me is Jets are interviewing former Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett for their offensive coordinator job after they fired Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother or whatever. They fired their offensive coordinator, so they're looking for a new one. But Nathaniel Hackett, he got fired from the Broncos this year, so we'll have to see where that goes.
About Lamar Jackson, his contract extension, where's he going to go, where's he not going to go. The reporting, the Ravens GM says the team isn't entertaining trade offers for QB Lamar Jackson, which they shouldn't. They shouldn't do that. So, are they going to come up with a deal? Are they not going to come up with the deal? I have no idea to this point. I think they're going to come up with a deal. They're going to come up with something, at least a 2-year deal, where he's just, okay, I'm happy with that. Something like that, 1-2-year deal. I think he's gonna be happy with that. But I think he wants his long guaranteed contract. I don't know if he'll get it this offseason. He can just have 1 really good season, or 2 really good seasons, and then he'll get that good contract. But I don't see it at this point, especially with the injuries.
Yeah, he's been really banged up. I don't see him getting anywhere. But speaking of the Ravens, I think the Ravens re-signed Roquan Smith to a 5-year deal. He couldn't get that from the Bears. He's a Pro Bowler this year. He really didn't get any recognition with the Bears. He left. Now he's on the Ravens, so good for him, getting his money.
That's the amount of NFL news that I have.
Yep, that's really that's much for me too. Other than a bunch of other offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators around the league getting fired, but that's just
we're not going to go through all those.
Yeah.
Let's head into picking next week's playoffs games. Let's head into the first one. Kansas City at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do you have in this one?
Well, this game could go either way. I mean, Jacksonville could show up. Jacksonville could show up like they did last week, but you're also going against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs are 78% favored to win this one, so we'll have to see. What? Screw it, Jacksonville.
You're going Jacksonville.
I know. I'm gonna take the under. I want to see Trevor Lawrence and the guys show up. I want to see Jacksonville win.
Okay. I don't think Jacksonville will win. It might rain during the game. I don't like Jacksonville in this one. Give me Kansas City. I'm wearing the jersey right now. I like Kansas City in this one. Kansas City's absolutely phenomenal, especially at home. They're like unbeatable, 7-1 at home, basically unbeatable. It's just wow. I mean, I think Kansas City wins this one. I don't think a team stands a chance really going in there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe Cincinnati, maybe Buffalo, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Is that all you got to say about this game?
Yeah. Just Trevor Lawrence has been cooking, so I'll have to see. I mean, Arrowhead is loud. Jacksonville, I saw there was a report. They said Arrowhead's not going to be loud because their stadium was loud last week. Nah, Arrowhead's a whole different ballpark. But yeah, this could be a close game or a blowout. So we'll have to see. Okay,
let's go to the next one.
Yep.
New York Giants at Philadelphia Eagles. Who do you have for this one?
Really, this game could go either way. Daniel Jones played phenomenal last week. Jalen Hurts hasn't played like a full game in a while because of his injury or whatever. He had a couple weeks to rest, Gardner Minshew being in there. But we saw when Jalen Hurts wasn't in the offense, they did not look hot. They lost a few games with Gardner Minshew in the game. But, yeah, it's a really big question mark because the Giants are coming off such a good win against the Vikings. Everyone played phenomenally, but, I'm going to say the Giants in this one. I think they have their momentum. They're rolling. Brian Dable.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I like the Giants in this one. I do not like the Eagles. I think they're kind of a fraudulent team. I like how Daniel Jones is rolling, and I think Brian Dable coming off a week. Those guys are fired up after that win. Nobody thought they could win that game. They're moving on to the next one. I think Philadelphia's kind of limped into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to fire on all cylinders right away, and I think that's going to struggle. They're going to struggle for them, and I think this will be a low-scoring game that the Giants win.
Yeah. The Eagles are favored to win this pretty much 80% to 20%. So ESPN thinks they're going to win, but I think the Giants have the momentum. They've been rolling in the playoffs. The Eagles have, like you said, they limped into the playoffs with Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts being hurt. But, I think the Giants have a good chance in this one.
Let's watch. Let's watch, but let's move on to the next game that I can't wait to watch. The Buffalo Bills at home hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. This should be a good matchup. Really, who do you got here?
I mean, Bills are favored in this one. They could go either way because the Bengals have been rolling, coming off of a couple wins, and then the Bills coming off of a close win last week. But I think you're going to see Cincinnati pull this one out. I want to see the Bills go all the way, but I think with momentum and the aspect of teams having that momentum rolling, I think you're going to have Cincinnati winning this one.
I think Buffalo. I think Buffalo's going to do it. I think the DeMar Hamlin situation, emotions are just running high still from that, and I think they'll kind of make their way to the Super Bowl, and I think they'll either win it or they'll just make the Super Bowl. But I think Buffalo is definitely going to win this game. I think so at home. It's going to be cold. It's going to be Josh Allen type weather. I think they win.
Yeah. I'd be fine seeing Buffalo win it all the way, too, for DeMar Hamlin and everything. But I think in the end, Bengals are going to win this. But it could go. Really depends what Buffalo team you get out here.
Let's head into the last matchup we got of this divisional weekend. San Francisco 49ers at home against the Dallas Cowgirls. Who do you have in this one?
No, I'm going to say Niners simply. They're a more complete team. Christian McCaffrey has been cooking. Brock Purdy has been cooking. Cowboys, they won last week, but it was against Tampa Bay, literally a bottom team in the league that somehow managed to make the playoffs by winning their division. But I think the Niners are more of an established team and I think the best team in the NFC going into the playoffs.
I mean, I think the Cowboys are favored in this one. I don't know. I think it'll be a close game, to be honest. I think it's going to be a close game like last year. I think just that San Francisco defense is very, very tough. It is very, very tough, and it's the only one that's showing up right now. And defense wins you championships in some cases. I like San Francisco in this one.
Yeah. Really just more of an established team. I get they have a rookie quarterback. That doesn't mean much, though. He's cooking in the offense. He's making it work. They're making it work over there with that defense as well. You really can't ask for more.
I agree with you on that. And if you want to go to the game, ticket starts as low as $405.
Oh my goodness!
So that's an expensive ticket. But this has been an episode of the Anytime Sports Podcast Show. Sorry, it's been a long time, but we'll hope to see you in the next one.
Gonna be back. Peace.
Gun, I like those colors, yeah.